room for dances.
Oh, really?
That one you don't need to come and chew any lines.
Are you sure, Aklibo? We'll talk about that at a later date.
All right, I hear you.
What's today's message, Uncle? But before that, festival is coming up.
Yeah, the festival starts from 25th of this month. That's Christmas Day.
That's Tuesday.
That's Tuesday. And then it will continue from the 27th, 28th, 29th, and 30th. And then I would bring it to an amazing close with a crazy ride.
Oh, okay. So we are starting off the new year with a crazy ride.
Crazy ride. And I think it's the best way anybody can begin the year with by watching me. And for especially those planning to get married, please don't miss Unhappy Wives, Confused Husbands and Terms of Divorce. Those who are planning. No, I am not echoing what the mischief Raymond sought to do this morning on the newspaper review. I'm not holding anybody to any calendar or timetable.
Okay.
But for those who are planning to get married, please don't miss these things. And for those who are already married, I believe this will be your best refresher course for your marriage. So those two in particular, but any of the 6 productions is high class, high quality. And if you haven't bought your ticket, please make the effort. And then also get a ticket for a friend as part of your Christmas hamper or your Christmas hamper. And it will be the best thing you would give to anybody. Then this morning I bring my series on lessons in humility to an end. I hope you have enjoyed the series, and I thank you for tuning in. Here now is the last of the lessons in humility. In the 70s, I became the best man at the wedding of a friend who was marrying a lady who came from a very important family in Accra. The day after the wedding, the bride's family put on a banquet for the couple. As the best man, I had the honor of sharing the high table with the couple. When it came to the speeches, my friend, the bridegroom, asked me to speak on his behalf. So I took the floor and delivered what I thought was a fantastic speech. I said, I come from the theater, and in the theater, when the director has done his work and the day of production comes, the director has to get off stage and allow the cast to do their own thing. I said, the test of the kind of work the director has done during rehearsals is seen in how well the cast performs and interpret their roles. I said the director who does not get off stage and still insists on directing the play during production is sure to cause confusion or make the cast members unsure of themselves and has really not done his work. Then I explained why I was talking about my experience in the theater. I said, parents are like the director of a play. Parents prepared their children for adulthood and for marriage. But once the children become adults and marry, parents have to take the back seat and allow the children to live their lives without any interference. I said the test of how well you have done as a parent can be seen in how well the children conduct themselves as adults and as married people. The couple was happy with my speech. As I said at the beginning of the presentation, the lady came from a very prominent family. The groom also came from a very good home. The couple's biggest fear was that their families would not allow them to make their own mistakes and to grow. They hoped that the speech would get their parents to take a cue and not seek to run their marriage for them. After my speech, it was time to go to the table. As protocol demanded, the couple and I and the bridesmaid were the first to go to the table. As I was returning to my seat with the couple with my plate in hand, a distinguished-looking elderly man beckoned for me to join him. I broke off from the couple and went to him. He offered me an empty seat beside him, and I sat down. He said, "Young man, I liked your speech. You speak well." "Oh, thank you, sir," I said. Then he introduced his lovely wife and said, "We have been married for 34 years. "Wow," I said. Then I was not even 30 years old at that time, and I was not yet married. So meeting someone who has been married for 34 years for me was huge. But the man was not finished with me. He said, "I am a neurosurgeon. I also operate in theater. But in my theater, if I leave the patients, they die. And then he waved his hands to indicate that he was finished with me. I felt rebuked and humbled. I had used an analogy of the theater of the performing arts without realizing that there are more perspectives to theater than the one I was involved in. That brief encounter with that elderly surgeon taught me to understand that life has nuances, and so one should always be careful with his statements. The fact is, there are many more viewpoints than any of us can imagine, and that is why it pays to always make an allowance for other points of view. This lesson was drummed in at another wedding, also in the 70s, for which I was also the best man. The groom, with whom I shared a flat, was a leader in Youth for Christ, YFC, just like me. And because he was a respected and much beloved leader, YFC members were in full attendance, and they did all they could to make the wedding exciting and fun. Our music team entertained the guests with great singing. After the wedding, I returned home and met the man who lived in the flat next to ours. He was a senior manager with a leading supermarket in Ghana in those days. He was one of the nicest men I have ever met, but he was not a religious man. He came to me and said, "James, that was a very beautiful and an interesting wedding." I smiled. I was happy to hear that the man who was not religious had enjoyed the overtly religious wedding. Then, with a sober expression on his face, he said, "Something happened at the wedding that has got me totally confused." "What is it, sir?" I asked. He said, "One of the songs the music group sang said, 'Frankie and his wife are on the rock,' Frankie being the name of the bridegroom. Does that mean that their marriage is already in trouble?" Oh my God, I thought to myself, we have taken so much for granted. Then this is what happened. There was a song we loved to sing in YFC. It said, "I am on the rock at last. I'm the rock, I'm on the rock at last. My soul has found a resting place. I am on the rock at last." Then we will insert our names in the song. So instead of "I am on the rock," we'll sing "James on the rock" or "Dan on the rock." At the wedding, we had used the names of the bridegroom and his wife in the song. We thought we were killing it. And now I realize that we had taken it for granted that everyone would understand our jargon. And here was a very educated, enlightened man using what he knew when we say a marriage is on the rock to interpret the song, and the result had him totally confused and worried for the couple. Then it is very easy to forget that this world is not just black and white. There are many shades of colors and perspectives. I learned from these experiences not to take too much for granted in life and in communication, and to always make an allowance for the differing perspectives from mine. And Dan, that is my presentation, and with that, lessons in humility for now, over.
I think this lesson comes to me the most because one of the things that you need when you sit in a chair like I do is to appreciate others' perspectives and to speak not only to yourself, but to speak to the largest majority of people possible. Yeah. It's one of the lessons that really comes in. When someone doesn't understand the context of what you're saying, it's very, very difficult to communicate.
Then you're not communicating at all.
No.
And then you also learn that meanings are not in the words we say. Meanings are in people.
Exactly.
It's not the words. You think that you have been quite clear, but the person coming, that meaning, he finds a meaning in himself, and sometimes you'll be shocked at how it can be interpreted. Something that is so clear and simple to you can be interpreted. I remember someone, Christians, we like to testify and we say Jesus saves, and the guy asks, "With which bank?"
That's solid. Uncle Bohais, thank you so much for the lessons in humility you've been sharing with us in the past few weeks.
We're seeing you for the festival, right?
Yes. Okay. I'll be at the I can't miss Terms of Divorce and Unhappy Wives, Confused Husbands. I can't miss those two. Yes, and the rest we'll take them one at a time.
Okay, all right then. All right.
See you there.
We'll suspect you.
Yeah, see you next week.
All right.